Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling. We are excited, we're proud to be here once again this Sunday night to talk about where we were just a couple of weeks ago. As we've been telling you, we got to go back in time. We got to go back and see what it was like when Sam Muchnick, the late great NWA president, ran at the beautiful Chase Park Plaza Hotel right there at that Coruscant room. We were asked and we were honored to go back. Mr. Bob Koppler, the grandson of Harold Koppler, the owner of the Chase Park Plaza Hotel back in the day, had a private event there, and we were so thrilled to be asked to be a part of that. It was great to walk in there. I mean, I went over there early that afternoon and just feeling the vibes in that Coruscant room, to stand right in the middle of that room underneath those beautiful chandeliers. You could actually feel the vibes. You could hear the walls, basically, the likes of Rip Hawk, Gene Kaniski, Lou Thez, Whipper Billy Watson, Johnny Valentine, you know, people like that that we all grew up on. And here we are in 2023, SICW being asked to come there and be a part of more history being made. And while we were there, we got to take a few interviews with some of the SICW superstars. So right now, we want to listen to some of them and see what it meant to them to be in that golden hall, the Coruscant room at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel.
Well, SICW fans, we've been telling you over the last several weeks about a venture that we were taking, a road trip, and we are right here, finally, at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel at the historical Coruscant room. I'm here with the SICW champion, the Big Texan. Jim, you talk about this was on your bucket list.
Oh my gosh, is it ever? Guys, take this in. Can't you see how beautiful this light setup is and the ring in the middle of this room? Oh, this is like unbelievable to me.
Well, and for many years, and you've heard us talk about it for years in the past, in 1959, wrestling at the Chase started on television at KPLR TV, Channel 11 in St. Louis. And here, after all these years in 2023, we are fortunate to have the SICW ring and the locker room doing a performance here at a private event for what I think is the most ironic thing. And you talk about things full circle. The Koppler family, Harold Koppler, who made the deal with Sam Muchnick on an airplane coming back from a trip to St. Louis, had a conversation, and Sam told Harold Koppler, said, look, I've got the talent, I've got all the wrestlers, you've got the local television, why don't we kind of form a pack? And that's how the birth of wrestling at the Chase came about. And to this show that we're doing here, the grandson of Harold Koppler is one of the gentlemen who contacted us and asked us to be a part of this. And I'm so grateful to Bob Koppler and his organization for putting this on, the Young Presidents Organization. I can't thank you enough. And Jim, you got all the names on there from Sam Muchnick on down.
Yes, sir. We're going to celebrate this today in style.
You can kind of hear voices in here, can't you?
Oh, I'm sure all the wrestling gods and legends are looking down upon us.
So they all were here. Johnny Valentine, Gene Kaniski, Farmer Marlin, Pat O'Connor, Dick the Bruiser. I remember when Dick used to come out, and after his match, he grabbed one of the people in attendance's beverage and poured over his head. But he always walked over to the concession people on his way back to the dressing room and said, send that guy whatever he was drinking on me. So that's the kind of guy Dick the Bruiser was. But stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more of action coming from the beautiful Chase Park Plaza in the Coruscant room, so you can view it. Coming to you once again, fans, here at the Coruscant room at the Chase Park Plaza. We've been bringing you some little snippets of what we've been doing here in 2023 on our road trips. And right here I'm joined with Mr. Bill Henson, one of our referees. Bill, did you ever think you'd be at the Coruscant room where it all started with wrestling at the Chase?
No, I didn't. This is a childhood dream come true, and I appreciate you. I appreciate SICW for allowing me this opportunity. I mean, this is my childhood dream. I grew up on Wrestling Chase. I love it. and I'm just blessed to be here today.
Well, and in this ring, this is where referees like Mila Ochi, Lee Warrens, the Warren family, people like that, Joe Shaneberger,
Yes.
you name them, all the great referees right here in this ring in Wrestling at the Chase. And you're going to be in there. You've been in there. And so, like I said, it's really a dream for all of us. It's on my bucket list. Larry Matisek always wanted to do another show at Wrestling at the Chase and never was able to come to fruition. But here we are in October of 2023, and 50 years of me doing promotions of wrestling. This was full circle as far as I'm concerned when you talk about Wrestling at the Chase and what SICW has been trying to do. So, like I said, we're going to be coming back with you, but Bill, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
It's another one for the record book.
Oh, I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm looking forward to just everything SICW's got going on.
Very
so
good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. We'll be back with some more.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Promoters Corner here at SICW, and I'm telling you, we have been bringing you some clips and little vignettes, as they call them here, of Wrestling at the Chase at the Coruscant Room, and I'm joined here with two of the uprising stars in the SICW and anywhere in the Midwest. I'm talking about the young men, the Top Guns. I'm here with Brandon Beretta and Joey Vanetti. You guys, I know you're young, but you had to know about Wrestling at the Chase.
Absolutely.
And what did you think about Wrestling at the Chase?
That was wrestling. You know, growing up, obviously I'm a huge WWE fan, and as I got older, started researching into the, stuff before, I was around, and seeing Wrestling at the Chase and seeing all the how real it was. The crowd, dressed to the nine. They're out there for dinner. They're out there for entertainment, and that's what we're doing here today. Joe, just last year, we were a part of the Wrestling at the Chase documentary, and here we are, thanks to Herb Simmons a year later, in the very ballroom. This is a huge thing for us, the Top Guns. We are here at the Chase.
Did you ever think that was going to happen?
Not in a million years. Not in a million years.
Well, and these are two graduates of the Ace Wrestling Academy. Bob Orton Jr. Runs our academy, and of course with the help and the guidance of some of the most vicious chops in the world, the Big Texan.
Yeah, oh yeah.
People like him, and whether you like him or not, the Canadian Zero, as I call him, Sean Benson, and all of those guys who come up to the academy and help train these young guys. I think that you'll admit that the Ace Wrestling Academy has got you where you're at today.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Without Ace, we wouldn't be standing here.
Right. No. Right here at the Coruscant Room at the Chase Park Plaza. Keep an eye open. Follow them on YouTube. Follow them on Facebook, all their Instagram, Twitter, because the Top Guns is the team that not only in the Midwest, wherever you see their name on a poster, flyer, on a marquee, they are going to go out there and show you what it's all about. And I'm honored to have them a part of the SICW locker room.
Thank you, Herb.
Very good. And don't go away, because we're going to have a lot more. Like I said, this is on everybody's bucket list at SICW. The only thing that would make this a better opportunity is if my good friend Larry Matisek could be with us, because he always wanted to come back to the Coruscant Room, and we could never get it worked out. But here we are in October of 2023, and I know he's here with us. You can just feel it in the room. So we'll be bringing you a lot more your way. Well, fans, here I am again, and I got to tell you, it's a little noisy. We're in the Coruscant Room at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel, where it all started in 1959. And whether you like this gentleman or not, sometimes I don't. He's a friend of professional wrestling, and I'm talking about Sean Benson. Sean, today, did you ever think you'd be standing in the Coruscant Room getting ready to go in there and do your business?
No, not at all. 25 years. It started in 1998. And I, like everyone watching this and you, I was a fan of wrestling. And after 25 years, when you gave me that phone call and you said, we're doing the Coruscant Room, we're doing Chase, and you asked me to be a part of this, I wept. I was overwhelmed with joy, because this is where it all started. This is the epitome of everything I love about this business. And you've given me that opportunity. You're right, we don't often get along, see eye to eye, and that's fine. Because rules are just guidelines for me, and they're everything we do. But that's fine, because tonight, it's about SICW. It's about your history. 50 plus years in this business, and I get to honor you, our company, in this ring, in this room. What an honor.
Well, it kind of gives you shivers, I'll tell you. As I said earlier, when they were here putting up the ring today, when the crossbars got dropped on one of it, it kind of like reverberated through the room, like the walls were talking. So I know what you're talking about. And fans, like I said, don't always see eye to eye with some of these guys. Canadian Zero, as I call him sometimes there, but he is, when you talk about professional wrestling, he's up there on that list that brings you the best in what we got to offer each and every show. It's a pleasure to have him here today along with some of the other SICW locker room, and it's our honor to be here to bring this to you to help share these memories. So we'll be back with a lot more real sharply. Well, wrestling fans, sometimes when you do interviews, you have to be careful because the person you are interviewing, you never know what he's going to say or do. And this gentleman with us here today is one of those exceptions. When he is doing his job out there, he is a telecon. And he's a telecon today, but today is a special day. And I want you to be calm, okay? I want you to tell us what it's like to be here at the Chase Park Plaza.
It's really beyond words, Herb Simmons. 29 years, almost 30 years in this business. If you grew up in the St. Louis area, this was it. This was the promised land of wrestling at the Chase, at the Corzine Room. Personal connection for me, growing up with Pat O'Connor, working for Harley Race, knowing that they've been in this room. The flood of emotions to come in here. It's going to be a privilege to come in here and just stomp somebody flat out here today. That's going to be great. And to do it
as long as it's not me.
As long as you stay away from the ring, you won't have any problem, right? But to be able to come in here today, share this with you, we go back 30 years as well. To come in here and you can just feel that they're here. And this is, of all the places I've been, all the people I've wrestled, all of the things I've got to experience in 3 decades in this business, this is the top thing for me.
Well, there you have it, another testimony to what it's like to be here at the Chase Park Plaza in the Corzine Room, coming from the monster himself, Attila Khan. And we got a lot more of those type of testimonies coming to you because this is a historical day, not just for professional wrestling, but for SICW. We'll be back in just a few moments. Wrestling fans, as promised, as we always do at SICW, it just keeps getting bigger and better and bigger and better. And right here, I'm joined with, when you talk about wild, when you hear those chants, let's get wild, you're hearing it right here because I'm with Curtis Wild and the First Lady of Professional Wrestling in the SICW. Chris, what does it mean to be here in the Corzine?
Well, I mean, the history is palpable. You walk in this room and you can feel the legends of the past looking down upon you, shining down upon you. You can feel the history. There is a huge backstory to this, and this is one of those buildings that ranks up there with Madison Square Garden for most professional wrestlers. And it really is Madison Square Garden for professional wrestlers in the St. Louis area. If you've been around the Midwest, if you've been around the St. Louis area, wrestling at the Chase was one of your bucket list items.
Well, and then we're crossing this off our bucket list. Like I said, you've been in it for how many years now?
Going on 24 in December. 24 in the business, 9 with you in December.
Right. So it's been a great wild ride, I must say.
Sure has.
It sure has.
We've had our downs, we've had our ups, and we're still going. We're still going strong.
But this is the top run of that ladder, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this is kind of like come full circle. 50 years of me being in it, and to be here to share it with people like you and the rest of the locker room is just heartfelt. As I said to some people earlier, the only thing I wished we'd have Larry here, Larry Madison, but
Larry would have been proud. Larry would have been proud. I absolutely know it. I had the fortune to be around Larry Madison when he was alive. in the locker room, hanging out with us, giving us some advice. And Larry would be very proud. He would be humbled. He would be honored, just as we are, to be in this room. It's with an attitude of gratitude and great appreciation that we're here tonight. And Wrestling at the Chase is the pinnacle of professional wrestling.
Very good. And fans, there you have it. Another, just a small little testimony from people who's been in it a long, long time. And hopefully they'll continue to do it in the future. Thank you very much. We'll be back soon. Wrestling fans, we have the wrestlers who get in there and take the bumps and the bruises, and inside the ring, outside the ring, they're the ones that are out there getting beat up and beating people up. But it takes that third man in the ring, and our senior referee is here with me tonight, Nick Rednire. Nick, wrestling at the Chase in the Four Sand Room. We are standing here right now. How does it feel?
Oh, it's amazing. I was lucky to come here as a child. Shades of Joe Schenberger and Lee Warren. Lee Warren got us,
Stuck in.
Yeah, he sucked us in, and I came here like 3 or 4 times. It was really a good train. It's just a dream right now. I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, and like I said, it's on that bucket list that we're all trying to accomplish, and we did it.
You're right.
It's been a long time, and we can't do it without, like I said, the third man in the ring. And you do a great job, and sometimes it gets a little tough. Sometimes you get knocked down, and you keep getting back up. But we appreciate Nick being here, all he does for SICW. You know, we're going to be hearing a lot more about Nick and what we're doing come May of next year for Fan Fest number 2. But this is right now at the Four Sand Room at the Chase Park Plaza. We'll be back with you in just a few moments. Wrestling fans, as I said, we have wrestlers and we have wrestlers. We have referees and we have referees. We have champions, and I'm happy to say we have our Central States champion right now with us. And this man has been with me a long, long time, and I know he's got something to tell you about what it feels like to be here at the Chase Park Plaza in the Four Sand Room. Bobby D.
Oh, it's simply amazing. You just look around, and there's so much history in this room from Wrestling at the Chase. So many greats that have been through here. I mean, I don't have to tell you, you know all the greats that have been here. I'm still in awe. It's going to take a little bit to calm my own nerves here so I can get in this ring and whoop up on somebody, but it is absolutely electric flowing through you just walking in here, seeing everything.
Well, Bobby D is our Central States title holder at this time, and he goes out there and defends it each and every time, never backs down for anybody. Don't care how big they are or whatever, how tough they are. I can always count on Bobby D to go out there and represent SICW, and he's doing it right here today at the historic Chase Park Plaza, Four Sand Room, where it all started.
It doesn't matter how big they are, Herb. When they're laying on their back, they're all the same size. I'll submit them, I'll pin them. Either way, they're low down when they're laying down.
Very good. We're going to be right back. Got a lot more coming your way, so sit back and strap in because we're on a ride. Thank you.
How you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk a little bit louder because they're here testing the music. As we've been telling you for weeks now, we are here at the Four Sand Room at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel. You heard me say we have our wrestlers, we have our referees, we have all the logistical people there. But the one guy who is here with us, our man who keeps me in line and helps put all this together, Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think we'd be standing here at the Four Sand Room?
Absolutely not. You know, we visited the Missouri Athletic Club recently. Beautiful building. We all thought that was as close as this kind of experience as we were going to get. Now, yeah, as you hear it, the music guy's excited. We're excited. We have the wrestlers here, and everybody's just, it's surreal. It's like we're walking through a dream.
It is. It's a dream that you can only dream about, I thought. But as I said earlier, I just wish our good friend Larry Matisek would be here with us. But as my good friend Darla Staggs called me bright and early this morning and said, Herb, he's with you. He's looking down on you.
She read my mind. You know, you talk about Larry Matisek. You talk about people like Joe Garagiola, like Sam Muchnick. We can't see them with our eyes, but I can certainly feel them with my heart. Right? I know they're here with us.
Coming from
That's
Dr. Drew.
That's the only reason I'm here. If for no other reason than I'm here, Larry Matisek and Joe Garagiola gets a little bit of filtered through this goofy ring announcer, and it's an honor. I've been doing this with you for about 10 years now, a little over 10 years, and this is we'll remember this for the rest of our lives.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's a road trip, as we used to say back in the day. It's a heck of a ride, and we got a lot more coming your way. Don't go away. Wrestling fans, once again, I bring you one of the all-time greats. Whether you like him or not, you have to respect him for what he does in the sport of professional wrestling. My guest right now was trained by the late, great Harley Race. I'm talking about the superstar, Steve Fender. Another one I don't always see eye to eye with his tactics, but when you talk about some of the greats in the business, superstar. Steve, what do you think about being here at the Chase Park Plaza today?
It's an honor to be here. This building has history like no other. I mean, this is the Madison Square Garden of the Midwest, if you would. It may be more important than Madison Square Garden to the lineage of pro wrestling, actually, and how pro wrestling progressed because of wrestling here in this building.
Right. And I think with your history with the late, great, probably the greatest of all time, Harley Race, to be able to say you're in here, I mean, what's it going to be like to maybe look at doing that diving headbutt the way he used to do it in this exact room?
There's so many emotions running through me right now, to be honest with you. I've been in awe since I walked in the doors here. Just the whole setup, just seeing the building and imagining what it was like, 40, 50, 60 years ago when they was doing the same thing in here, and how we're recreating it in 2023, and it's really, really awesome. I don't know how to put it in words besides saying that it is an honor and a privilege to be here in this building.
Well, and it's an honor and a privilege for me, SICW, to have you a part of this ride that we're on. It's a ride that's, someday we know it's going to come to an end, just like it did back in the day for the guys like Harley and all them. But right now, we're riding it, and we just appreciate you being here, and it's an honor to have you a part of this big show.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. I love working for SICW, but on a business note, Herb, I'm going to hurt anybody you put me in the ring with.
That's the words from the superstar. Like I said, he's one that can distinguish from emotions to business. And you're hearing the emotional side today because it is an emotional moment for all of us. But when he steps in between those ropes, it's all business. We'll be back with you soon. Thank you. Wrestling fans, when you talk about people who are on the top of the ladder, top of their run when it comes to professional wrestling, I have an honor today of having the night train Gary Jackson, a gentleman who I call him the ever-ready bunny that just keeps on going, keeps on getting out there doing it. The train's on the track going, and Gary, tell them how it feels to be standing there in the Chorus and room today.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you, Herb. You're doing a great job. And this brings back a bunch of memories from when I was a little kid coming to see wrestling at the Chase. Now I am part of this history at Wrestling at the Chase, and it feels good to be standing right here in this room and standing right next to you.
Well, and for those of you fans who maybe are just joining in, his nickname is the Night Train, and that was a name that was given to him by the late, great Bruiser Brody. And he's the Night Train, and like I said, he's traveled all over the country wrestling. He's still wrestling today. He's going to be wrestling here at the Chorus and Room, where, as he said, it's an emotional type feeling for all of us, especially for him because he's been doing it a long time. He's wrestled some of the all-time greats in the business, and today to be here at the Chorus and Room is a check off your bucket list.
Yes, it is. SICW is on the road. I mean, if you just look at our travel schedule, man, I mean, not only we hitting wrestling at the Chase, Belleville, we've been to Sandoval. I mean, we just been all over to the Shriners Hall in East St. Louis, Fairmount City, man. SICW is doing a lot of great things, and this is one of them. Not only that, we're looking forward to 2024 to get started all. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the area and you see the banner, SICW Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling, please come check us out, and I guarantee you, you won't be disappointed.
And that's the words from the Night Train, Gary Jackson. Fans, don't go away. We got a lot more coming your way from the beautiful Chorus and Room at the Chase Park Plaza. wrestling fans, here we are, and you've heard us talk about everything in SICW, from the workers to the referees to the announcers to the ring crew. It's a team effort. You heard us talk to Bob Orton about the Ace Wrestling Academy, and whether you like him or not, I'm here with Big Nasty Glenn Williams, who never is lost for words. Glenn,
Yes, sir.
I know you're fairly new to the business, a couple years into it. I got to say I'm impressed.
Thank you.
But what does it feel? I know you've heard the history of the Chase Park Plaza. What does it feel like to be part of this big event?
I just walked in here and am almost lost for words. This is insane. I know I'm mostly a jerk, but if I can be honest, I mean, I have the utmost respect for all of the people that come before me, you included, everything that everyone's ever done, and especially in this room, to know the rich history of St. Louis. It is not lost on me at all that being in my second year, I feel beyond grateful to be a part of this show, and I feel grateful to be involved in this because there are guys that have wrestled their entire careers in St. Louis, the Midwest area, that are probably rightfully deserving of being in here, and they never got that chance. So today I get to be a part of that. Today I get to be in the same room that all of these guys have. Terry Funk, right?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Lou Thez, come on. I mean, guys that I idolize being in this same room that I now get to say that I've also been in the same room and got to do the same thing that they did. So that's pretty incredible.
I told you, never lost for words. And he is in the locker room at SICW. He's another one of those individuals, a graduate of the Ace Wrestling Academy. You heard Bob Orton talk earlier. Keep an eye on Big Nasty Glenn Williams because it's only up for him.
Oh,
Fans,
yeah.
don't go away. We're going to come back with a lot more action your way.
I want the tag titles, sir. I want the tag titles.
Well, fans, there was just a few of the interviews that we did that afternoon. You could just tell in the voice of a lot of those SICW stars how they felt. Some of those young men only heard about wrestling at the Chase from their parents or their grandparents, but they actually, that afternoon, they got to relive it themselves. They got to be there. They got to see what it was like being inside that SICW ring, inside the Chase Park Plaza Hotel. And speaking of interviews and guests there, we actually had a couple of WWE legends join us that afternoon. My good friend, Ron Simmons, was part of that whole ordeal. Great time, entertained the fans. But my real good friend, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, was there. And man, when Jimmy's in town, he's got stories that just goes on and on and on. Let's take a listen to a little interview we did with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Hello, SICW fans. As we've been telling you now for several weeks, we've been telling you about the bucket list that was finally coming to a reality here at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel at the historical Core Sand Room, where it started back in 1959 on television when the late great Sam Muchnick and the late great Harold Koppler, who owned the KPLR TV studio, married that great brainstorm together, farming the wrestling at the Chase. I'm so honored today to have a gentleman who has been in the business for many years be a part of this celebration that we're doing at the Chase Park Plaza. And I'm speaking of my good friend, Jimmy Hart, the WWE legend. Jimmy?
Man, it's great to be here in St. Louis again, finally, man. You know, it's just awesome. I'm looking forward to it. You know, the Chase has so many great memories and so many great legends have come through here through the years. So being here with you, it's going to be awesome.
Well, and that's the thing, and I know over the years you have been to St. Louis, of course, many times. As you know, your career has taken you everywhere.
Well, it's been great. Like I said, with the WWE, we were here first time. I had the Honky Tonk Man, of course, Greg the Hammer Valentine, the Immortal Hulk Hogan, Hart Foundation, the Nasty Boys. The list goes on and on. But each time I come, it's always something exciting that happens here. And it's just a thrill for me to be back. There's so much great history here about professional wrestling in this city.
Right, and I know you never had the opportunity to work under Sam Muchnick.
No, I never did.
But I know throughout your career you've probably heard a lot about him and the St. Louis wrestling. Some of the greats that worked here, Johnny Valentine, Gene Kaniski, people like that.
How does that make you feel to know that we're here in the place where that all started?
Well, I felt great. I remember one of the first time I was here for the WWE back in the day. We were in town here, and I was sitting down waiting. This gentleman came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Bruiser Brody." And I went, "Oh," because I've heard so much stories about Bruiser, you didn't know how to react, But what a great guy he was, man. But I know he was a major part of this territory back in the day.
Yeah, Bruiser Brody. In some territories, they called him King Kong Brody, depending on what territories he was in. But here in St. Louis, his name was well known, and it still is to this day, kind of like Dick the Bruiser. You got stories about Dick the Bruiser, I know.
Oh, the Dick the Bruiser. I remember one time Jerry the King Lawler and myself, we went up to Indianapolis to wrestle him in Bobo, Brazil. And I thought, King, that's not a very good matchup on your part, because look how I can't do anything in the ring. Don't worry about it. I'll lead it. I said, okay, great. But I remember we were in the middle of the ring, and when they announced Dick the Bruiser, it said, "And now coming to the ring, the world's most dangerous wrestler." And I thought, ooh, I like that. Good hashtag. That was great. But like I said, so many great memories all my life of the professional wrestling, especially right here in St. Louis with you, man. You've got a lot of history too.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. Is I tell people all the time that I've been fortunate to sit underneath the learning tree of Sam Muchnick, Larry Matisek, and then to get to meet so many individuals like yourself. And we're just continuing to build on that foundation that guys like you built. I mean, let's face it, Jimmy Hart, the mouth of the South. I mean, come on.
Look, I've been so blessed to two of my best friends, Jerry the King Lawler, who got me in the wrestling business, of course, Hulk Hogan, who's been my friend for over 43 years. And somebody asked me, they said, "Jimmy, you and Hulk have been friends for 43 years. What made it last?" And I said, "I've never borrowed money from him, and I've always told him the truth, whether it was right or wrong. Whatever he asked me, I always try to be truthful about it." But, sometimes I look in the mirror and pinch myself and go, did I really get paid for doing this my whole life? But, like I said, working with the WWE, working at Memphis Wrestling, it's just been such a thrill for me. And I've been able to travel the world, of course, and meet so many wonderful people like yourself and the wrestlers and everything. So like I said, I've been blessed.
Right. So tell our viewers, we hear so much about the Memphis wrestling.
Right.
Kind of take them back to what made Memphis wrestling so popular.
I think what made it so popular is what you see was what you got. No scripted interviews. It came from the heart. And let me tell you something. When you're on that live TV, you can't stop in the middle and go, "Oh, can I take that over again?" You got to keep on rolling, and you got to let the people know that what you're talking about is the real deal. And if it is, and they believe you, they're going to buy that ticket and come to see you on that Monday night at the Mid-South Coliseum, or on Tuesday night, Louisville Gardens, or Wednesday night, Evansville, Indiana, and so on and so on. And so that was what was so special about that territory and about that era.
Well, and there's so much great talent down there, as we talked about in the past. Of course, your good friend Jerry Lawler. I mean, come on, the King, and we want to give him a little shout out because he's going through a little health issues, but he's a fighter.
He is, but I saw him this past week. He's doing so much better. I'm so excited that he's doing better. He looks great.
That's why he got a little goatee or white goatee now.
Goatee.
Yeah.
Well, when he used to do the heel thing, he used to have that little goatee back then, and then when he was babyface, he would shave it off. But
great guy.
King's my friend. He's there forever. If it wasn't for him, it'd be no Jimmy Hart. So I've always been grateful.
Oh yeah, exactly. But there's so many of the greats that came through that area down there. The Moondogs and people like that, and a lot of them, you had some way or other, you touched them. Just like you talked earlier about some of the people you managed in the WWE.
Well, you're right, but they touched me really because when I did my Hall of Fame speech back in 2005. I made sure I put everybody over that I ever went to the ring with, walked to the ring with, that rode in the car with, or anything that was very important to my life and my career back then, because like I said, I couldn't have done it by myself, and I wouldn't be up there, if it wasn't for all my guys, and sometimes I think back, and we've lost so many great people that I used to manage, but I still think back in the day of doing Memphis TV and us coming to St. Louis for you guys up here and all the other cities around the country.
Oh yeah, well, you were here with us back in May of this year when we did the annual Bruiser Brody Memorial in the Hall of Fame, and one of the honors, and this is my 50th year, as and I had so many honors, but the guys kind of pulled a little trickery on me that day, and you were part of it.
We were part of it. I knew it all day long. Hey, let him know. Don't let him know. I said, okay, don't worry. I mean, it's like I'm going to be the guy that run around there like Paul Revere coming. Hey, the British are coming. Like I'm going around. Hey, guess what? Herb's getting an award. I didn't say anything to anybody. I don't know what they said about me.
I knew there was something funny when we were starting to get out of the ring, and you grabbed my coattails. Come on, we ain't done yet. We're not done yet.
I know.
But to have you there, to have Stan Hansen,
yes,
people like that,
Ted DiBiase
Baron
was there.
von Roski, Spike Huber, Greg Gagne, and everybody in the ring.
Who's who?
Yeah, it was a who's who, and then we took that picture. So, I mean, you talk about being touched and blessed. I mean, I have. Like I said, I pick up the phone and call you, and it's not like, well, no, I can't. You say, hey, when do you need me? And if you're available, you're coming.
Well, it always has to do with this business, because people like yourself that's keeping this dream alive for all the local wrestling fans. People don't realize that. Each year there's less and less, I guess, places where these younger kids can wrestle. And, through a little bit of tragedy down around the Tennessee area with Burt Prentice passing away, he was a great promoter down there who helped a lot of the younger kids out, same way you do up here,
Yeah, Burt was a dear friend, and I was honored to get to be asked to speak, do his eulogy for him, but what a guy. I mean, like you said, he made a place for the young generation, kind of like we're doing here with a good friend of yours, Bob Orton Jr. runs our Ace Wrestling
Cowboy
Academy.
Bob, he's the greatest.
Right, he gets out there, and I tell the story all the time when at the academy he'll be sitting there on a Tuesday or Thursday night, and when he takes that hat off and them glasses off, and he's climbing in that ring, I know somebody's getting ready to get tuned up a little bit.
Well, at least that's the way they're going to learn, though.
Right.
A lot of times you see a lot of places that just kind of, hey kid, you want to be a wrestler? And you look in the mirror and you look and go, oh my God, there's no way this kid's going to make it. Not that you shouldn't try, but sometimes they just, well, it's going to cost you this much and this long, and when you know in your heart, there's no way they can make it,
No.
Unless you're going to be a referee or a manager like me or something else. But that's one thing about his school. He looks at everybody, talks to them, lets them look in the mirror and go, okay, you think you can be the next Rock or the next Stone Cold or the next Hulk Hogan or whoever? And if they say, I believe I can, that's the people you got to go with, because in their heart they really believe that.
Right. Tell our viewers how Jimmy Hart became the manager.
What happened to me, I went to Treadwell High School with Jerry the King Lawler, and I was part of a group called the Gentrys. We had a $1 million record back in the 60s, and we toured with Dick Clark and the Beach Boys and so on and so on. I did that for X amount of years, and we got off tour one day a few years after we started, and I was back in Memphis, and I had a phone call from Jerry the King Lawler, and he said, look, would you help me with a wrestling album? And I said, I'd love to, because he was a big fan of music, but I was a big fan of wrestling, because back in the day on tour, whatever city, if we were in Atlanta with Dick Clark, I'd get up early on a Saturday morning to go, what's on TV? Oh, wrestling. Oh, my God. It's the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Or if we were in the Carolinas, it was Ric Flair, the Von Erichs up in Texas. So I was a big wrestling fan. So I went and helped him produce this wrestling album. And it turned out great. He goes, Jimmy, back at Treadwell High School, where he went to, too, he said, I remember you played football. Believe it or not, I was 7th in the city in pass receiving back in the day. I was a halfback. And so he said, we play softball a lot, we play football a lot, so I started doing that with him. We became good friends, and the next thing you know, he said, look, would you help us with promotion? I started doing that when I was home, and the next thing you know, I'm on Memphis TV wearing one of his wrestling outfits, in the ring wrestling. And the funny thing about it, I wear an 8-size shoe. He wore 10.5. He let me wear his boots, so I looked like Flipper walk into the ring. He gave me a Tarzan outfit to type wear. A Tarzan is when you have the one strap on each side, right? Well, I wear medium, he wore extra large, right? So going to the ring, I kept pulling the top back and forth till finally I just stretched it over and put it on this side so my neck would hold it up, when I was in the ring trying to wrestle. But it turned out pretty good, because Jerry Jarrett, who saw the tape the next day, he wasn't there that night, he said Jimmy Hart looked like the one who had been wrestling for 3 years instead of the kid I fought named Pat Hutchinson, who'd been wrestling for 6 years. So I'd always loved it. It was just a fluke thing. It was a fluke thing for us to put a band together in high school and become part of a Gentrys with a $1 million record. And it was really a fluke when I got into the world of professional wrestling.
Wow, I'll tell you. Crazy. Now, what part of it did you have to play, or any, with the Andy Kaufman?
Well, after I was in the business for a few years, we had the chance for Andy Kaufman to come down to Memphis to wrestle. He fought the king. The king did him the pile driver and sent him to the hospital. So when he came back out, they put me to manage him at ringside. And so I was with Andy for about 2 years now. He stayed at my house. We did trips together. But he loved this business, Herb. Oh my God, he loved it. He loved it. Two things, he loved wrestling and he loved Elvis Presley. So after the show sometimes would be the main event, I'd have to drive him over to Elvis's gate where Elvis died in 77. This was like 79 or 80. And he'd have to sit on the other side and look and say, I know Elvis is going to come out. I know he is. I said, Andy, he's not coming out. He's gone. And I said, I've got to go to Louisville the next day. So he goes, just a few more minutes. So we'd stay there until about 12 o'clock at night. And I'd either take him to the hotel or take him to my house to stay. But he loved the wrestling business. He sure did.
Yeah, that's good. And so you do a lot of traveling still?
Oh, yeah.
And almost every weekend, and you get to see different promotions everywhere you go. And being from the old school, as we call it, to what you're seeing now, is there any advice that you could give this younger generation about getting into the business?
Yeah, definitely. Be on time, whoever you work for. Be dependable. Whatever they ask you to do, whether you think it's right or wrong, it's good to make suggestions, but go through with it and try to put your own little spin on it and try to make it better than what it was. You know, when I was in Memphis wrestling, if they wanted to paint me yellow, I'd buy the paint. If they wanted to whip me with a bull whip, I'd go get the bull whip. You know, I tried to, like I said, do everything I could that they knew, you know what, we can believe in Jimmy Hart. We can bank on him. He's going to be there for us day in and day out. And that's what, and stay away from negative people. If you're in a dressing room and somebody's negative because they don't like what's happening or whatever, scoot on down the end of the bench and get away from it, because trust me, you'll get blamed for whatever's said. Trust me on that. So it's better just to be positive, dress the part. I don't care if you have to, like, pick up my shirts from Old Navy, believe that or not, you know. And I don't care if you've got one nice jacket, one slack pair of nice pants, pair of different shoes. Dress up to go to your matches. Dress up, because the promoter will take a look at that, and it'll go a long way.
Right, and as you know, as you've seen coming up here with us, we've got the guys like the Gary Jacksons that comes dressed in the shows, and that is kind of transcended into some of the other people in the locker room. Because
absolutely.
Gary's from the old school, and you know he never leaves home without his bag with his gear, and because he never knows when he goes to another show that the promoter may say, "Hey, I need an extra body tonight," so. And that's where he's been so successful.
That's great.
It really is. But, you know, when you travel from all over, as I told you before, I don't know how you keep up with your schedule, because I'll call you and you'll say, oh, you got to call Paulie and find out. I don't know if I'm available or not. It gets to be kind of hectic still.
But you know what? I'm brainwashed for being in WWE all these years, which is a good thing. They taught me to be on time, be dependable, always be ready. Whenever they call to do promotion, buddy, I'm there. And that's really helped me tremendously. You know, I always sit back and watch and just see, what can I do? I'm in this building early, so what can I do to help out? Right. And that's so important. But the WWE, I mean, they're a fine tool machine, buddy. They've got it all together. Great talent, great farm system up in Orlando, Florida. Shawn Michaels, by the way, I wrote his song, Sexy Boy, but he's great. And I just think they've got so many great things going right now with the talent. A lot of new people they're signing, a lot of people that they've got there that's still getting a lot of mileage out of, which is awesome.
Right, I say. So, in all the years that you've been in this, and you've probably been asked this a million times, is there that one moment that sticks out in your mind that you say, man, I wish I could go back and do that again?
Well, there's one moment that sticks out in my mind, but I wouldn't say go back and do it again. It was WrestleMania 1. I was so glad to be part of that. Because nobody knew if it was going to be successful or not, and of course it was, because if it wasn't successful, we wouldn't be doing this interview now. But Vince really believed in what he wanted to do. Hey, I think he borrowed money. He did everything he could to get enough money together to put the show on. And I'll be dadgum if it didn't turn out to be a goal of mine. And so thank you, Vince. Thank you, everybody that was involved. But I wouldn't go back and change a thing. What I did, I went out with King Kong Bundy against S.D. Jones and came back and changed jackets and went out again with Greg the Hammer Valentine against the Junkyard Dog. So I was so happy to be part of that, because I believe that was wrestling history back then.
Right. And now, all these years later, and and you're still out there doing it. You're still putting miles and on the airfare, on the airplanes, and still taking care of the fans.
Well, I've always said, don't send me no flowers because I ain't dead yet, baby.
There you have it. Well, and I think that's a good way to kind of end this up. My good friend Jimmy Hart, who, as you fans that are following this now know that he is one of the all-time, if not the all-time, great managers in this business. And we here at SICW are just honored that to have him in as many times as we can. In fact, I joke him, you ought to just move here to the area because we can work him all the time. But Jimmy, it's really a pleasure to have you in with us again. And
well, thank you so much. But I just want to say, as far as managers go, oh my God, Jimmy Cornette, tremendous manager, love him. Paul Heyman, oh my God, he's the best. Bobby the Brain Heenan, we miss him so much, but he was unbelievable. Mr. Fuji, Fred Blassie, Luscious Johnny Valiant, Slick. The list just goes on and on and on and on. So whenever my name's mentioned with any of those guys, I'm so grateful. But thank you, Herb. I love it, baby. It's all beautiful. And let's go get us a White Castle.
There you go. White Castle, here we come.
My treat or yours?
Mine.
Okay, I'm in.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you back here with some more of the history at the Chase Park Plaza at the beautiful Coruscant Room.
Oh, fans, I told you, Jimmy Hart, they don't come much better than the mouth of the South. The guy he's out there. What a great friend to SICW. He's been everywhere. He's done everything. He's managed all the greats, and it was an honor to have him take part right back at that Coruscant Room at the Chase Park Plaza. And speaking of great times, we're going to take you now and show you some of the footage from that afternoon from some of the SICW workers when they were there, what it felt like for them to get in that ring underneath those beautiful chandeliers. We're going to show you some of that footage over the next couple of weeks, but right now, sit back, strap it in, because we're taking you back to wrestling at the Chase, but now in 2023, it's SICW at the Chase.
Ladies and gentlemen, your second contest at Wrestling at the Chase is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, representing Devastation Incorporated, makes his way to us from Mongolia, weighing 277 pounds, Attila Khan. And his opponent from Petticoat Junction, he weighs in at 220 pounds. He is the Night Train, Gary Jackson. Your referee is Denny Thomas.
Wrestling fans, here we are coming to you from the Coruscant Room at the beautiful Chase Park Plaza. As you heard us talk about earlier a couple of weeks ago, we were honored to be able to come back here and be a part of this great event. I want to give a big shout out to Bob Koppler and his organization. Bob Koppler, for those of you who don't know, his grandfather Harold Koppler owned the Chase Park Plaza many years ago, back in 1959, when Harold Koppler and Sam Muchnick struck up a deal to produce Wrestling at the Chase. And this is where it was done at, right here inside of these walls, those beautiful chandeliers. But let's take a few moments right here. You're watching Attila Khan and the Night Train, Gary Jackson, both men, both veterans of that squared circle. Right here, both of them from the area have grew up on Wrestling at the Chase, and in their wildest dreams, they never thought, if you'd ask them, if they'd ever be in a match inside the Coruscant Room. And right here today, they're living their dream, as you see Gary Jackson working on that outstretched arm of Attila Khan, now dropping the knee into that bicep area. Oh, up in the air drops the leg across that arm. What a event this was. This will go down in one of the all-time favorite events of SICW. Larry Matisic, our late great friend, and I always wanted to come back and put a show on at the Coruscant room. Was never able to get it done, but here we are in 2023. We are able to do it, and you see the Night Train working that elbow, delivering it to the head of Attila Khan. These two have fought and battled all over for many years, back and forth. Oh, Khan misses with that clothesline, but Jackson comes back, a flying crossbody. Referee moves in for a 1 count, and Attila Khan manages to get up. These two, like I said, have battled, they've bled, they've hit each other with everything but the kitchen sink, I think. Oh, big headbutt delivered by Attila Khan, the monster that he is. Oh, a diving headbutt. We want to thank everybody tuning in tonight for the weekly episode of Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling. The referee keeping a close eye on Attila Khan as he drops the hand that opened, it looked like the finger thrust right to the throat of the Night Train, Gary Jackson. Now Jackson rolls out and Khan goes right out there after him. Oh man, there you see the barriers. Jackson got thrown into that, and now Khan goes over. They're outside the ring. Referee goes outside. He's going to try to get him back in. This is coming to you from the Coruscant room at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel in St. Louis, Missouri. Back where people like Johnny Valentine, Cowboy Bob Ellis, Buddy Rogers, you name them, they all were here at this historical building. And there you see, coming around outside of the ring, Khan and Jackson at ringside. The referee telling him get the action back in the ring. Now Jackson, a couple of those mule kicks right to the midsection. Now brings him over and delivers him right to that bell. That bell that rang so many years right here at Wrestling at the Chase. They had 2 bells back then. This is the original one from Wrestling at the Chase. Larry Matisek had the other one that, believe it or not, he always carried in the trunk of his car because of a little debacle that took place where the bell had got left behind one night at a big show, and Mr. Muchnick was not too happy, and Larry saved the bell, saved the bell, no pun intended, by having the extra bell in his car at the Kiel Auditorium. Oh, he whips him off the rope. Oh, but Khan comes off and catches him with that big boot. And now it's Jackson on the canvas. No, once again, big leg drop delivered by Attila Khan. Now he goes for the cover. Count of 1, 2, and it's Jackson that kicks out. Fans, we want to thank you again. Like I said, look at this beautiful, beautiful room. The chandeliers. I mean, I was over there earlier in the day before the matches, and you could just feel the vibes. You could just feel, and you could just sense that this is where it all started back in 1959 on KPLR TV Channel 11. Prior to that, a couple of the other local stations, Channel 5 had it on for a brief period of time. But the main station, KPLR TV Channel 11, and to think here in 2023, SICW, of all the matches that we've done all over Missouri, all over Illinois, we're inside the Chase Park Plaza Hotel in the very same room that Sam Muchnick, where Joe Garagiola was the first play-by-play announcer in 1959. Oh, now an arm drag by Jackson as he flips him over. But Khan comes right back on him, delivers a big blow to the back of the neck area. Now moves in. It looks like he's choking him. Referee telling him to let him up, get off his throat. But sometimes I don't know if Attila Khan can understand, or if he just plays, has selective hearing or selective understanding. And now it's Jackson backed up into the corner. Khan moves in and once again begins to choke him, and the referee starts to count on him. I guess he can always play dumb and act like you don't understand what the referee's talking about, but there you see Jackson. A couple of kicks to the midsection. Now, right forearm. Now he drops the head right on the knee, and that sends Attila Khan to the canvas. Gary Jackson. I mean, this guy has been all over. He comes off of that middle rope with that big knee, finds it target on Khan. Now, once again, now the tides have turned. It's Jackson that's on the attack here. But I'm telling you, these two men, I've seen them battle all over. I've seen them inside the ring. I've seen them outside the buildings. I've seen them everywhere. And right here, this is where Attila Khan becomes dangerous. Now, he's on it. Oh, wait, now it looks like he's got that foreign object that he brings. The referee needs to get in there as he drapes Jackson back up on the rope. Jackson hanging over that rope. And now, Khan once again goes in and starts to choke him. Referee Denny Thomas telling him to let him up. Let the man off of the rope. Now there's a big finger thrust that he does. Another one. Jackson leaning up against the rope. Attila Khan now. He better not count Gary Jackson out there. That head to the midsection, but now it's back and forth. Oh, Jackson goes to try to pick him up in a body slam. Attila blocks it, and now it's him that picks up Jackson and just delivers him down on that canvas. Well, you know what they say, what goes up must come down. And now, there you see, Attila Khan climbs up to that middle rope. What's he going to do? He's measuring him up for that diving headbutt. So many times we've seen him hit that target. Oh, but not this. Oh, he just barely caught him on the shoulder. Jackson rolled out of the way just in time, or that could have been it. Now Jackson, oh, a swinging reverse neck breaker. Shades of the late Rip Hawk. Now he's winding it up and he's going to drop it like it's hot. There he goes. Big elbow finds its mark on Attila Khan. Now he goes, grabs the legs. He's going to set him up into that sharpshooter, or the Texas cloverleaf as he calls it. Attila Khan now trying to make his way to the ropes. He's smart enough to know if he gets to the rope, he'll have to break it. And that's exactly what he did. Jackson breaks at the referee's request. And he backs Khan into the corner. Now it's rights. A couple of lefts. Jackson says, you want to fight fire with fire? Oh, but whoa! Khan pushes Jackson back, knocks the referee down. He comes out. He got that foreign object, I guess, or something to put back in that elbow pad. A count of 3. Just that quick. Attila Khan gets a 3 count on the night train. Gary Jackson. That's how deviant this man is. This man takes no prisoner. He saw an opening and he took it. Now, let's go up to the ring and get the official time from our ring announcer, Dr. Drew. Fans, what I tell you, what an experience for those men. They were excited. It was it was just like they were on cloud 9. They were in there where the Harley race and people like that, Cowboy Bob Ellis, you name them. If you were around, or your grandparents or your parents, you had to sit around that afternoon, that Sunday afternoon dinner, and they'd be talking about wrestling at the Chase. And just think, the Top Guns, people like that, the Canadian hero Sean Vincent, Attila Khan. You're going to see all of them over the next few weeks to come. They got to go in there and they got to revisit those hollow walls and talk and listen to what they were saying about the foundation that those men built, that we continue to build on to this day. So we appreciate you joining us tonight, and we'll be back next week with a few more shots and a few more matches from the beautiful Coruscant Room at the historical Chase Park Plaza Hotel. Thank you, and everybody have a good week.